Hi there. So I am starting a little bit early so that we can kind of just wait and see if anybody pops up. I know how it is right now. Um, it's a little bit hectic for everybody. And so I wanted to talk about some positive. Okay, so I don't know if this is like disconnecting and reconnecting or whatever, but we're going to roll with it. If I have to, I will switch over to cellular data because Wi Fi is not cooperating today. I feel like it's like back in 98 when we had the dial up and, spring break or whatever and everybody was online. So anyway, let's go ahead and kind of start with some positivity here. I used to do angel communication back in the day and I got pretty good with it. I could find stuff. Hey, mom. I could find stuff if I sat with it for a minute and didn't let it overrun my life because I have a little bit OCD where I need to know where everything is at all times. And when you're overthinking something, it's real easy to push it away because you're trying to figure out where I left it last or where I remembered seeing it. So when I would stop and say, okay, it's not that urgent right now, but if y'all could help me find it, it would kind of lead me to wherever what I was looking for. And it was stupid stuff. It wasn't anything huge usually. Recently I did have that happen with a paper that I had looked everywhere. I had torn everything up. I finally found the paper and it was right where I had been looking all along, in like next to a folder, which is really weird. I don't know how it got there. But anyway, moving on. So the angels, I was trying to do some meditations and communications recently, and I pretty much have identified my own. I have three. Two are female, one is male, or at least masculine and feminine energy, because I don't know if male and female really exists on that plane in the way that we know it to be. And some spiritual aspects can embody both of those things, just like humans. We can, I have a lot of masculine energy about myself as well. So we can embody those various aspects of I'm going to say gender. Let's see, where was I going with this? Angels. Okay, so I was trying to communicate with them and I was receiving all kinds of really cool messages. And, the thing is, I don't remember what they were, but I remember waking up feeling really refreshed. But one of the questions I had was, do animals have angels around them? And the answer I got was, no, they are the angels. Now, I know that this is not a set in stone answer because everybody's reality is different. Everybody's purpose is different, even though I believe that we can change that when we want to. But I think that, that resonates some truth there. Maybe animals don't really need angels because they are. And how we treat them is a reflection on who we are. And, you can tell a good person usually because they know how to treat an animal. It does go hand in hand with empathy. And I wish I could remember some of those other messages that I was getting. But the main thing was, why can I hear everything so clearly all of a sudden? And the answer I received was, well, you weren't listening before. So you have to learn to listen differently when you're trying to get into that spiritual side. So I'm also going to go into this last 2 weeks of self-care. And I do want to start by saying that as far as my calendar, we are right on track. But the eerie thing is that I did this calendar a little while before all this stuff started hitting. And if anybody watches this in syndication, this is we're in March of 2020, and this is where people are choosing to self-quarantine and cities are going on lockdown and that kind of thing. So I found this a little bit eerie that today is where I had written down that I was going to focus on that stuck feeling about how to move forward when we can't figure it out. We don't know which direction to go. So I might have been tuning into something without realizing it, but I want to focus on how self-care can tide us over in these times when things are rough. Sometimes the worst time to do something is the best time, even though it doesn't necessarily make sense in that way. Why would we try to aspire to something right now in this time of all times? But if we really look at it, this may actually be the best time, because we are getting that downtime that we always want and hope for, and that downtime of being able to spend time with our families. And for anybody who is working through this, thank you, because that means so much. It's necessary to keep things going. I wish it weren't, but I want to make sure that I express that appreciation, because if I had it my way, everybody would be staying home, who didn't need to be out and about right now. And, it's people that are putting themselves out there right now that are keeping things going. And I understand on one hand it's necessary, but I also just wish that everybody could just, take a couple weeks off, because that's got to be stressful. With that being said, as I said, sometimes the worst time to do something is the best time in retrospect. As we work toward a month from now, and all of a sudden, we start to see this little break in the clouds, hopefully, we have this time where we can be working toward goals. So even if we're not going to show something for it now, by the end of that month, we're going to have a lot to show if we start doing something. Well, let's use reading a book. If you start now, start reading a few pages a day, even 1 or 2 pages. And if you want to do more, then you can. But by the end of that month, you're going to have made progress in that book, even if you start chipping away at it little by little. So that's with anything. If we want to, I started the wrong time to start eating healthy, but because that stress habit is coming in, so I want cookies and pizza, but I have been doing okay with that. But those of us who want to start different lifestyle changes, we can start incorporating those little things. Maybe even getting moving in some way. Picking a song every evening or every morning to get you motivated and psyched up, and dance to it for as long as you feel like. When you start to feel tired, you can kind of slack off or take a break. But 1 song a day. Years ago, when I was doing more aerobic type stuff, I think I started out at like 3 minutes, and then after that I'm like, okay, I can't do anymore. So I would do more of the low maintenance stuff like crunches or something like that. And then I would go back to the aerobics and I would do another 2 or 3 minutes. Pretty soon I was able to do like a 5-minute block, and then I think I topped out at like 7 minutes. So, you see that progress. Just, don't overexert yourself or anything like that. Make sure that you are doing what your limitations allow, because that's, kind of the only way to really build up there. And I know that, we all have certain things that we have to be mindful of as far as health, and really getting in there and going full force, which is sometimes one of my own downfalls, because I will exhaust myself and end up hurting myself in some way. But, listening to our bodies is really important. So, something like that, seeing how much you can build up by the end of a month. And, like I said, hopefully by that point, we're going to start to be seeing a break in the clouds. And I think that's something that I really want to start doing myself, is a little more physical activity while I have this downtime. And, it's a little bit disheartening right now, because it feels like, for some of us, we were making progress or waiting around for something, and then all of a sudden it just, life hit this standstill, and there's so much uncertainty about everything. So, that puts me in kind of a mood where, it's kind of hard for me to do anything other than watch movies right now. But I did learn, here's something that I was happy with. I did learn to more or less sit down with a movie and actually pay attention. because I have the worst attention span ever, and I still kind of multitask and, do other things at the same time, but I'm better with it than I am with just, getting so sidetracked. So as far as how self-care can help during these times when things are really tough, it can help to keep us grounded. It can help us to have goals that we're still working toward when it seems like everything is hectic and chaotic, and when you're wondering if it's worth it anymore. And it is. It is worth it to keep that optimism and to keep trying to find your reason and your motivation. And maybe that reason is knowing in some way that things are going to change and things are going to get better. And if we sit around and do nothing right now, we won't have the results to show for that at that time. It's okay to take downtime, because I've been doing that myself with my movies. It's okay to take that downtime and to give yourself time to vegetate and to just get your clarity and to process things, because really we need to process right now. I mean, this is a major change going on, and trying to figure it out, it's not easy. So give yourself that time. Don't push yourself to just start making all these goals and progress. But as we've been learning with this 2-week challenge that I put up, as I said, it's funny how I'm on schedule with this, and I had written it down, and today was about feeling stuck. And I had created this schedule before any of this hit, and it just fell very naturally. I was actually looking to see if I needed to change something or redirect in some way. But keeping ourselves afloat when it seems like we don't know which direction to go, that is where self-care helps, because it helps to remove and relieve some of that chaos. I know that when I sit there with my movies, I enjoy them very much, but I also know that I'm going to have to do other things as well. So I planted some seeds, figured that, in a couple weeks, I'm going to have something to look at and, something to kind of look forward to. And when I really start seeing that progress, I think that I'll feel that for myself and remember that, yeah, I got out there and I planted those, and it's going to have that positive in motion feeling with it. And that's what we want. We want that positive in motion feeling when it feels like there's nothing else to do. There have been times in my life where it was rough, and in some of those times I did nothing, because I didn't see where there was any hope, and I didn't see how this was going to benefit me in any way, and I just felt hopeless and basically gave up. Then there were times where I would try during those times of hardship, and all of a sudden, I get a no to what I really wanted or what I was relying on to carry me over or to be my saving grace. And, we can look at this in so many ways. If somebody tells you, hey, I got a job for you, let me go and see about, if my boss still has the position open, or, whatever the case, and they come back to you and say, well, somebody else has the position, then we feel like, okay, well, I had my hopes up. I thought that this was like, finally the stars aligning for me, and it didn't work out. If we take that as our only option, we have no more options. So from there, we have to, we can decompress and let ourselves feel that disappointment, but we also have to get up and say, okay, where am I going from here? And to find more options. And if we can't find them, we can create them. And that's the wonderful thing about endless possibilities. We can create them. I didn't realize it at that time. So I thought, well, my one chance to have a job or, to be a functioning member of society is gone. But that was not true. I just didn't realize how to put things into effect. And I think that, this is very true of many situations where we limit ourselves Hi, Mikey. Hope you've been doing well. So many of these situations where we limit ourselves because we think that one option is our only option. And again, that's not true. There are so many possibilities out there. We just have to kind of figure out how to get on track with it and make it happen somehow. And I think that, as I said, this time right here is optimal in stopping to reflect and changing direction if we need to, and deciding what we want out of it and what we want to do, and moving forward and figuring out how to move forward. I say this with experience. I've I've tried to figure out how to move forward, but I had like too many things going on at once. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none type of situation going on here. But focusing that energy on one or two things, or sitting back and reflecting, okay, where am I headed and where am I going now? It can kind of help us to get on track and get on that even path of finding our way. And, self-care, as I said, keeps us grounded, because without my art or writing or, my movies, I feel like those are passive. But I also, in my workshops, I talk about passive action versus active action. And if watching movies, if sitting down and listening to music, or listening to an audiobook, or, lighting incense or candles or whatever the case, if that is what you need to do, that's fine. When it comes to active action, when we start feeling that motivation and inspiration to really make it take off, that is where we start to kind of feel that break in the clouds a little bit. Like I said, planting things in my garden so that I have something to kind of look forward to. And hopefully as things start to pan out, I'll have something to show for that. Also, I really think that I do need the physical activity now more than ever because I can't get out shopping, or, I feel like I'm stuck at home. So that was kind of my exercise, because at least I was getting out of the house. Whereas now I'm even hesitant to take a walk, and it's been so rainy, I don't want to. But, just turning a song on and dancing and getting those endorphins going. Even if I can only last for, a few seconds at a time. But this is how self-care can help when things are rough. Because I do get that question a lot. Well, how is it going to help me? It's not making the situation better. It's not, it's not benefiting me in any way. So these are the questions I have. But the benefit that we get from it is to not give up, to stay motivated, and to stay inspired in some way. And even if we're using those passive actions of things that we can do so simply, it can, give us a laugh, because sometimes laughing is what helps us through the hard times. It does get the endorphins going and kind of makes you feel better, even if it's in that moment. And, even when you're watching a movie and it's a really dramatic movie, and then they bring in the comic relief. Those are so artfully done. And there's a reason for that, because sometimes we need that little break in the drama to reshift our focus and, kind of just get that momentary reprieve. So in looking at it, self-care isn't going to fix everything, but it is going to keep us grounded. It's going to keep us from feeling that chaos inside, especially my fellow empaths. Self-care gives your brain that time to focus on you and leave all the other stuff behind, even for just a moment. Thank you, Mikey. That is perfect. Exactly. And that's what I try to promote so much, is that it's hard to get it, but it is so necessary. It is so necessary. And let's see what else I got going on here, because I think I pretty much covered everything. But, I questioned myself. I was wondering, if I started this self-care workshop at the right time, or the wrong time rather, because I'm thinking, how are we going to benefit from this right now in this moment? And, as I looked over my schedule and I saw that today was that feeling of being stuck, I thought, no, I am right on schedule, even if I didn't know it at the time, and even if I was starting to question that. So I'm going to go real quickly and look at my other schedule, and fingers crossed, hopefully it will help us to kind of stay grounded, but also I want to see if any of these comes true at some point. So next week was just more about seeing where my engagement was, and having kind of an open question and answer session. I don't know how that's going to go because I'm still, working toward that engagement. So we're going to go to April. Oh, have a great day, Mikey. It was great seeing you, so to speak. So on Monday, April. I need to go back to April. I skipped a whole month. April the 6th. Now, this gives me some hope here. New beginnings. My own experiences with spring and possibility and how that related to me. So I got that going on. Hopefully that will be showing something, those new beginnings. On the 13th of April, our relationship with fear and failure, and how this all, comes full circle in some way on trying to open up those possibilities. The 20th is how I can help, what I actually do and have done for myself. So I was going to put in a lot of how spring pertains to me and how to kind of overcome those fears. And, hopefully by then that new beginnings is going to really have some impact and show some truth in some way. And on the 27th of April, again, I was going to look into my engagement and see about a question and answer, maybe a mini reading, and shifting into breaking away from bad habits, those mindsets that hold us back. And we're back. It looks like May is going to have a little bit more normalcy. So again, not set in stone, but I'm hoping that, if there is some intuition going into how I created my content, that, maybe there's some hope there. And I'm going to finish off and wish everybody a wonderful day. Again, anybody who is out there working and, being there when we all need that right now, thank you. I don't really know how to express that gratitude at this point, because, y'all are out there on the front lines just, taking care of stuff. So thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I do have my workshops. I am thinking about lowering the price to my 6-month workshop for now because, maybe we need that right now. And I want to make it a little more affordable. So I'm going to think about that pricing and try to do something that is doable for now. I think that's it, and have a wonderful day, and I will see you next Monday, 1 p.m. Central. If anybody thinks that there's a better time for me to go live, let me know. I may move that time frame around so that it suits more people, and I guess that's pretty much it. I need to figure out something to sign off with. Have a wonderful day.